I'm ready for Sex with Jaiya. Are you? Today we're getting into sexy, sensual spaces, making over this old dungeon, or what are some of those other TV shows?
Better Homes and Dungeons.
Better Homes and Dungeons.
Flip this dungeon.
Flip this dungeon. My partner actually is on one of the house flipping shows, so flipping out, so we can say,
nice.
we're flipping out today in a dungeon. I think so many couples, when I go into their bedrooms, I see a TV, laundry laying everywhere, and I think it's really important that we have safe, sacred, sensual spaces to play in. And so I'm here today with Mistress Morgana.
Hi.
And we are at the Maison de la
Maîtresse. Good.
She says it's like a Maison de la Maîtresse. Yes, I have to work on my French.
Or as I like to call it, my Barbie dream dungeon, right?
Yeah, the Barbie dream dungeon. I like all these terms.
That's it.
And I want to start with just giving the audience some reference as to where we are, because we have these, things going on here.
Right
What
here?
is this thing that we're sitting on?
Yeah, right. Well, we're in my private play space in lovely San Francisco, California, and we're sitting on my spanking bench.
Spanking bench,
which I don't know if we can pan down, but the spanking bench, which has these, kind of lovely adjustable bondage points on it, and is this kind of like soft leather top, and as you can feel, kind of sitting on it, right? We're both here feeling very, supported and held. And we're sitting in front of the layback sling. So if I were to unclip these chains, this kind of beautiful piece of leather would be set up here where someone, if they were so inclined, would be able to lay back in a sort of secure, bound, suspended, and very vulnerable position. So this is the sling in its resting state back here right now.
The sling in its resting state. I want to see it in its active state sometime.
Probably arrange that.
So 50 Shades. I made myself read it because I'm a sexologist.
Good for you.
And
Take
I
that bullet
actually
for
got
us.
completely kind of into it.
Nice.
And in the book they talk about the Red Room of Pain and this place in his house where he has all of his sort of secret dungeony items. And I think a lot of people now are very curious about, well, how do I create a space where I can play? And let's start first with color, because they call it the red room, and here we are in this beautiful red, and I love this color for lovemaking. They say that red makes you hungry, but I think it makes me hungry for sex. So let's talk just about color and how important that is to your bedroom, to the place where you're making love, because maybe it's not your bedroom.
Sure, absolutely. When I was starting the sort of decoration on this space, it was really important to me that the space inspired me, and that it was a place that I really felt fed when I went to play. And I think a lot of people, particularly in a pre-50 Shades world, but in a post-50 Shades as well, have the sense of SM as this thing that's kind of dark or dirty or dank.
Or people who do it are sick. Now, all myths.
Yeah, it's true. But the sort of the shame and negativity that goes along with any alternative sexual practice kind of carries into the aesthetic. And so for me, it was critically important to be in a space that was inspiring, but that also mirrored me, right? So that was really feminine, that was classy, that had that sort of, my joke was that I wanted it to be something between Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Dangerous Liaisons, so that you really get this sense of fun and a little bit of camp, but also that when I'm in this space, I know exactly what happens in this space. And I'm incredibly fortunate that I get to have a dedicated play space.
Right.
But I think the kind of take home from that is there is something great about designating a space that's just for your ritual play, that's just for your sex play, and that
even if it's a corner of a room,
absolutely, and that you don't do other things too, or that you transform a room into that with a few kind of ritual acts, right? That you light candles, that you dim lights, or that you change the light bulbs out to a different color, that you have music, that there's scent.
And dimmers don't cost that much money.
Yeah,
that's one of the things I say in my book, Red Hot Touch. Go get out a dimmer. It's easy to install. You put it in, and it's one of the best things ever for your sex life.
That's it. Yeah. No, and it's funny because we sat in here, and I had the lights all down very low, right? And so lighting and candlelight, scent and sound, to me, are just like the framework. And if a room has those things going on, it could have like not a stick of furniture in it, not a nipple clamp to be seen, and I'll still do great kink in it because the stage is set and because it's a really, and I've actually played in just really comfortable, beautiful rooms that didn't have much in the way of gear, but they hold you. It's a container for the thing that you're going to create.
So what I'm hearing you say is that people need to find out what it is, like I would say pull magazine pictures or like what is it that really attracts you for your space. So it's not necessarily like, oh, everybody has to have red, but that it could be like you really love blue because it makes you feel relaxed and safe. So maybe blue is the color for your room. So that is, it's really your choice as to a space that makes you feel sexy and alive. And just walking in, I can say just walking into the space is arousing. Because for me, because it's a little bit of my aesthetic as well, but it also is, there's an energy about the room that you know that this is a room where we're playing. This is a place where we're exploring. So you did a great job.
Thank you.
Can you show us around a little bit, like
Sure.
to see the space and to give some people some ideas as to what are some things? And I like the idea that it's just simple as candles and dimmers too, and warmth and the smells, but that we also can get a lot of gear. Like you have some custom furniture.
Yeah.
So show us a little bit about like this thing. Let's go over here.
Okay.
Okay.
We can do that. So, I'll start off by saying, again, the great like privilege of owning a dungeon space is that I don't live here. I play here. This is actually dedicated play space. And when I bought this building, I actually knocked it down to the studs and did a complete renovation on it. So, we're in San Francisco, which is earthquake central. So all of these eye bolts that you see, the spider web that's attached to the wall there, this is all actually really attached to blocking inside the walls. So this wasn't a situation where I took the stud finder and I figured out where I was going to put an eye bolt and then hung someone from it.
Right.
Like there's a safety thing that kind of comes
This
first.
is really important because I think people are reading things like 50 Shades or Anne Rice trilogy and Sleeping Beauty and going, okay, I'm going to try this at home now. I'm going to get this crop, and then like it doesn't feel good. It hurts, or they do something where they try to hang somebody from the ceiling and they're falling out. So the safety piece, if you are playing with this, bolted.
Well, and the safety comes first, and it's understanding that like your intuition is a fantastic guide, but don't invent this wheel yourself. There's a tremendous amount of really good information on SM safety and technique out there, and it's not just where to use that riding crop, because actually there's a pretty specific part on the body that's going to feel good, and maybe 10 more where it's not going to feel good at all.
Right.
And a couple of those might actually be dangerous, right?
Right.
But then in addition to the gear you're using, you want to make sure that the furniture or that the sort of place that you're playing in is also safe. And that it's safe not just in terms of things are bolted in well, but that it's responsive to the person that you're playing with, right? So I play often with folks that need accommodation for disability, and I want to be wary of different accommodations for folks that have different needs in terms of mobility, in terms of their ability to get in and out of a thing quickly.
Right.
I always like to joke that when I'm in heels, I'm immediately less on balance than I would be if I were just playing in my sneakers.
Right.
So I need to be aware of myself not tripping or falling or losing my balance when I'm playing. It's not necessarily like the sexiest thing, but if you preface your play by setting up the safety first, the play is just much, much hotter because you're not thinking, oh, well, what could go wrong here?
Right.
Because you've really anticipated all those things and gone into it.
Right.
So you asked me about my cage. You don't get to go to the cage without getting a little bit of a safety talk first. This is actually a puppy cage. This is a lay down cage. So it stores in the upright position. Which I think is a really nice sort of lesson in your gear doesn't have to be out all the time. Right, so my layback
like
sling,
people who have kids.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one could arguably cover this with a curtain,
right,
and make it a little discreet. The sling stays in a kind of resting position until I'm using it. This is on casters, and if I wanted to use it, I would actually pull it out into the center of the room, which I'm happy to do if you want to see it. And it lays flat.
Okay.
And then when it's in that flat position, the person who's captive inside it is lying on their back or lying on their front. And then my favorite thing is actually kind of crawl up on top of it and dangle my feet down between the bars or enjoy myself in that kind of a way.
So this is for somebody who's doing maybe role play.
Possibly, but also sensation play, right? Like I think the role play where you need to assign characters and sort of have a reason for getting in the predicament that you're in is incredibly hot. And it's where a lot of folks go when they're going to kink, because they think, well, I need something between me and this fantasy to make it okay to go there. I tend to love to play just for the way that play feels. I play because I love sensation and because I love power exchange and I love pain exchange, and that intensity of touch is where it's at for me. But you could certainly do puppy role play, interrogation role play, captivity role play, all kinds of scenarios.
When I was growing up, I loved the captive slave sort of romance novels. So, you could have a lot of fun with that.
You'd have lots of fun with this. Yeah, that's exactly it.
Okay.
Let's see. I pointed the spider web out over here, which is another one of my favorite sort of bondage places. And if you want to stand up on this ledge right here, I'll hold your microphone.
Okay, so
look how quickly the roles are reversed. Face out so that we can see your pretty face. And if you'll notice, there's a little bit of an angle at that, right? So when you're there, you're kind of leaning back against it. And that's...
Trapped!
Yeah, a little trapped. Well, you're not quite trapped. There's a nice basket of rope there. I could make you trapped. But the idea behind this is that it's angled so that your body can actually relax into it.
Yeah, it actually is.
Right?
You would think it would be uncomfortable. Or that this kind of place should be uncomfortable. I mean, there should be an element maybe sometimes to that if the person likes that, but I'm a comfort creature. Yeah. I want furry cuffs.
Right? Well, and it's about purposeful discomfort. So if someone's uncomfortable, I want them uncomfortable because I'm making it happen, right? A hog tie is uncomfortable, puts strain on the body.
Right.
And if people are into that kind of strain, that quality of sensation, it's incredibly hot. I don't know anyone who's ever gotten hard or wet from like stubbing their toe. Right? It's the kind of discomfort people don't like. So accidental discomfort, the unintentional discomfort, we actually go to great pains, if you'll pardon the pun, to minimize an SM. So that you're at an angle, you're comfortable, you're already doing this really great thing with your arms, for instance, where you're not locking your elbows out. Locked elbows look really great in porn, but they don't work in bondage because your hands go numb immediately and it's not safe for your circulation. So this is one of those little conceits to comfort that we play so that you can stay in the position longer.
D-Love is so jealous right now. I can just feel him. He's at home right now going, "Oh, Jaiya, I'm so jealous. This is so unfair that I didn't get to go to San Francisco with you." Hi, D-Love.